India has been seeing a boom in K-pop over the course of the pandemic.
Millions of Indians are hooked to the Hallyu craze.
K-pop की बदौलत दक्षिण कोरिया की संस्कृति दुनिया के कोने-कोने तक पहुंची है।
This earworm of a song wriggled its way across the world, making history as the first YouTube video with 1 billion views, leaving its viewers galloping and asking for more.
Think about your daily life for just a second. The music that you listen to, the movies and shows that you binge watch, the gadgets that you use, even the sheet mask lying on your shelf in your bathroom right now. What if I tell you that a lot of it traces its way back to this small country on the eastern edge of Asia, South Korea. But how did this country, smaller than the state of Rajasthan, come to dominate our screens, our playlists, our shopping carts, and even our cravings? Well, it didn't happen overnight. There's a deeper story here. One that spans decades of cultural evolution, global ambition, and a few calculated risks. And like any good story, there's also a twist. While Koreans have been shaping what we buy, what we watch, what we listen to, how much of this is actually a two-way exchange? And is there any downside to this entire wave? Well, we thought about it, so let's talk about it. You know, all this Korean music and all these dramas are the perfect example of how language isn't a barrier when it comes to enjoying something like art. But if entertainment knows no borders, why should your education? I mean, why limit yourself when there's literally a world full of opportunities out there? And that's where LeverageEDU comes in. Think of it as your own personal guide to global education. Whether you want to study in the US, UK, Canada, or even South Korea, they help you find your perfect university without all the confusion and paperwork. Just like how K-pop artists have teams to help them rise to the global stage, LeverageEDU connects you with mentors who will guide you through every step, from university applications to scholarships and even visas. Just imagine having that kind of support to turn your dream education into a reality. Whether it's a short-term exchange or a full degree, LeverageEDU makes sure you have everything you need to succeed. Start your global education journey with LeverageEDU today. More details in the description. Let's rewind back to the early 2000s. Back then, India's idea of global entertainment was limited to Hollywood blockbusters and the occasional international pop hit. Korean influence was nowhere to be found. But behind the scenes, South Korea was already planning its global takeover. It all started with brands. Brands like Samsung, LG, and Hyundai. These brand names entered Indian homes long before Korean dramas or K-pop. By the mid-2000s, LG's refrigerators and Samsung's televisions weren't just gadgets, they were household staples. And Hyundai's Santro, it wasn't just a car, it became a Desi family member. Now Hyundai or Hyundai, whatever you want to call it, entered the Indian market in 1996 and quickly gained popularity when it launched its first car, the Santro, in 1998.
Santro is India's first multifunctional car. Office, school, shopping, holiday, it's the complete family car. Hyundai Santro.
It totally changed the Indian automotive industry by offering an unbeatable combination of affordability and reliability. By the mid-2000s, the Santro helped establish Hyundai as one of the top car manufacturers of India. Even as of today, Hyundai Motors is the second largest car manufacturer in the country, beaten only by Maruti Suzuki. And just recently, in October of 2024, they launched their record-breaking 27,870 crore IPO, making it the largest in India's history. For brands like Samsung, their success in India isn't just limited to home appliances. They're also one of the largest manufacturers of smartphones in the country. Today, Samsung holds about 23% of the entire Indian smartphone market. And in July of 2018, it opened the doors to the largest smartphone manufacturing factory in the world, which they opened in Noida. This factory was said to be built at a cost of rupees 4,500 crores. Now, eventually, with the rise of the usage of the smartphone and the increasing access to internet, India also found its access to more global cultures and global content. This also included content from South Korea. 2012 ended up being a game-changing year. It was a year that Psy released his song Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style's success was a phenomenon like no other. With its quirky dance moves and catchy beat, the song broke all records across the globe. It became the first YouTube video to hit 1 billion views. This viral moment sparked an interest in Korean culture across the globe, and India was no exception. The song was everywhere, on TV, the radios, even at Indian weddings. Everyone danced to this song. Gangnam Style, for a lot of Indians, was the first taste of Korean pop culture. But if Gangnam Style was the spark, then BTS was a wildfire. By 2017, BTS became a major sensation in India, garnering millions of views and thousands of fans from the country. Their music, their message, and their personality struck a special chord with younger Indian audiences. In fact, their connection with the Indian fans became so strong that the phrase "sarang hai" or "I love you" in Korean became popular across all social media platforms and captions and DMs everywhere. Talking about sarang hai, here's a fun story. Back in 2005, the artist Kim Hyung-sup, I'm sorry if I messed up the name, I'm sorry. Well, they created a song called Sarang Hai Yo, which eventually got copied by Pritam in 2008. Well, if you think about it, this does kind of make Pritam the OG fan of K-pop in India. Also, were you able to guess the song? The rise of K-pop in India was massive. Indian fans became part of dedicated fandoms like BTS's ARMY or Blackpink's Blinks. They literally decorated their own homes and cities on their idols' birthdays. But it wasn't just the music. Soon came K-dramas. First, it was just a niche. You know, a few dedicated fans streaming K-dramas like Crash Landing on You and Vincenzo on pirated sites and just crying over no subtitles. But then Netflix stepped in and bam, or tadam, you had access to a host of Korean shows. And then eventually everyone and their mother was talking about Squid Game. Squid Game wasn't just a show, it was a phenomenon, being one of the most watched shows in history, and who can forget the outfits, the music, or the games. In fact, in a lot of ways, the angles of poverty and the struggles of the common man also resonated a lot with Indian audiences. All these songs, movies and shows aren't just about entertainment. They also help us discover Korean food, fashion and even their language. You see, according to Duolingo's 2023 report, Korean has shot up to the 6th spot globally among the most studied languages, overtaking Italian. And in India, Korean language learning has skyrocketed by a massive 75% year on year, with it being the 3rd most popular international language being learned on the app. Over the last decade, there's been an undeniable fascination with everything Korean here in India. It's not just about K-pop and K-dramas, people are eager to experience Korean culture up close. In fact, the Korea Tourism Organization or KTO reported an incredible 95% increase in visitors from India in just the first 4 months of 2024 alone. And the love for Korean culture isn't just limited to tourism. The Korean Cultural Center India or KCCI in New Delhi has been a key player in spreading Korean arts and traditions. They host events like K-pop dance workshops, Korean film festivals, art exhibitions, and even traditional cooking classes. It's the perfect way for Indians to dive into Korea's rich cultural heritage without even leaving their own homes. But it definitely makes you think, what even led to this K-fever, if I may? This madness. It all comes down to one word: Hallyu. You see, the word Hallyu or the Korean wave refers to the global spread of Korean culture, which has grown exponentially over the last 2 decades. And this wave isn't just about music, it's a full-blown tsunami, reshaping industries like food, fashion, beauty, and even travel. So what's driving this wave? Is it just great marketing, or is there something else at play over here? How did Korea go from exporting cars and electronics to exporting its very culture? Well, spoiler, it wasn't by accident. After the Asian financial crisis in the late 1990s, South Korea realized something big. Culture could be just as valuable as industrial products. Here's where Korea got really smart. They didn't just let the entertainment industry grow, they actively invested in it. Government funding poured into K-pop training academies, global partnerships, and even drama productions. No more was this about just making music or TV shows. Now it was about making their culture a global export. And in India, it worked. From K-beauty trends taking over Instagram to Indian universities hosting Korean language courses, we didn't just consume Korean culture, we embraced it. Korean beauty brands like Innisfree, Laneige, and The Face Shop quickly became household names, and for good reason. These brands promised effective ingredients and innovative formulas, giving Indian consumers access to skincare that was not just about looking good, but about achieving that coveted glass skin. Sheet masks have become a go-to product for many Indians. And the Indian facial mask market, valued at Rs 1400 crores in 2021, is only continuing to grow. Trends like snail mucin and lip and cheek tints have gone mainstream. Local brands like Mamaearth have even launched their own Korean-inspired skincare lines to cash in on this growing obsession. In 2020 alone, Korea's cultural exports brought in over $10 billion from the world, and India has been a growing part of that pie. I think this video would be incomplete if I do not discuss the growing obsession with Korean food. What started as a niche trend is now a full-blown trend in India. Remember the dalgona coffee you made during the pandemic? That was Korean too. Searches for Korean food shot up by a massive 120% from 2020 to 2023, showing just how popular it's becoming all over India. In fact, if you're in Indian cities like Bangalore or Gurgaon, where I stay, you'll see a lot of rise of Korean cafes and grocery stores. These stores and cafes not only cater to your average K-pop fan, but also to the growing number of Korean expats working in the MNCs around them. Hello and welcome to a Vyre vlog. We are at South Point Mall here in Gurgaon because apparently there's a few Korean stores over here.
मैं बहुत गंदा जोक मारा हूँ।
क्या?
मैंने बोला साउथ पॉइंट साउथ कोरिया मेक सेंस।
Okay. That right there is a Korean cafe. I mean, इसका मैं क्या ही बोलूँ? Beauty talk Korea straight up. ये बनाने आया था, मैंने खुद फेस वॉश ले लिया। इन्फ्लुएंस हो गया।
फनी।
क्या बोल रही?
बोलने में मजा आता है। बिबिम्बाप।
That's another Korean
रेस्टोरेंट। वो सबसे पहले यहाँ खुला था।
Interesting. कितना कुछ है भाई इधर।
ये हर शो में खाते हैं।
आज का काम हो गया. Thank you for enjoying this Vyre vlog. Subscribe. There's no denying that Korean pop culture has taken over India like a storm. But as India gets swept up in this Hallyu wave, it's worth asking, is this truly a mutually cultural exchange, or is India basically stuck in a one-sided relationship? You see, while India is enthusiastically embracing Korean culture, the reality in South Korea can sometimes be a little different. Indian expats over there report experiencing stereotyping and even discrimination.
Have you ever faced any form or type of racism or discrimination while living in Korea?
When we go for shopping, when we take look at the dresses and all, then they be like, they come very fast, like they'll be sitting and relaxing. They just come dash out and they're like, dust it. Okay, I'm not buying.
Some of my friends have been screamed at, go back to your country, something like that.
ये जो हो रहा है ना, ये बस मेरे अगेंस्ट नहीं हो रहा, ये पूरे इंडिया के अगेंस्ट हो रहा है। कल को आप लोग भी कोरिया होगे, मैं आप लोगों की लड़ाई लड़ रहा हूँ अभी।
I think a lot of Indians might not understand the dynamics at play, where one side is enthusiastically adopting and adapting Korean culture, while the other may view the relationship in a more transactional light. While Korean culture has been a hit, some argue it's coming at the cost of local traditions. Are we celebrating a new wave of global exchange, or are we losing something uniquely Indian in this whole process? Let's address South Korea's beauty standards. It revolves around having porcelain-like glass skin, a petite figure, and symmetrical features. Sounds perfect, right? Except it's not realistic. South Korea is home to one of the biggest plastic surgery industries in the world, and people literally go under the knife to fit into these ideals. In fact, Seoul is called the plastic surgery capital of the world, with 1 in 3 women reportedly going under the knife before they even turn 30. And now these ideals are sneaking their way into Indian mindsets as well. People are spending thousands of rupees on products that aren't even suited to Indian skins or our climate. While self-care is great, do we even need so many products? K-pop idols and K-drama stars set the bar really high. Not just in beauty, but in everything. Perfect skin, toned bodies, flawless singing and dancing. They seem to have it all. But here's the catch, it's heavily curated. Many K-pop idols follow extreme diets to stay thin, like eating just a single sweet potato for dinner. This has started influencing Indian fans too. They too are trying these trends to look like their idols. But this is not sustainable and this is not healthy.
आयु का डाइट फॉलो करने वाले जिसमें वो सिर्फ एक एप्पल, एक स्वीट पोटैटो और एक प्रोटीन शेक पीती है पूरे दिन में.
While India has wholeheartedly embraced Korean culture, the reverse isn't quite true. Most South Koreans know very little about India, Indian music, Indian movies, or even art traditions. Indian characters in K-dramas are rare, but when they appear, it's often stereotyped. And meanwhile, Bollywood, which is one of the biggest film industries in the world, it barely makes a dent in South Korea. On the flip side, India is the 5th largest consumer of Korean dramas globally. This cultural crossover is definitely exciting, but also raises a question. Is there a balance between loving what's new and preserving what's ours? And what does the future of this relationship even look like? I feel it's important to appreciate other cultures without blindly imitating them. It's about celebrating diversity while still staying true to who we are. Loving K-pop doesn't mean forgetting A.R. Rahman, or adopting K-beauty doesn't mean not listening to your mom and trying her desi nuske. Culture is a beautiful thing. It connects, teaches and inspires us. And it's important to remember that we are just as rich in our heritage and culture as well. Let's embrace the best of Hallyu without forgetting who we are. Now, whether this Korean trend will fade like many other trends before it, I honestly do not know. But the story is far from over. And the next time you listen to a K-pop song or watch a K-drama or even buy a Samsung product, for example, remember that it's not just a trend. It's a carefully planned move and you're a part of it.
Game start.